This is the WORKPRO 4-piece magnetic tray set. So when you buy this guy, you get 4 pieces, 2 small, 1 medium, and 1 quite large. And these have a magnet on the bottom, so they'll stick to metallic things, and if you have any parts that you're worried about rolling away, if they're metallic or stick to a magnet, they won't. You can see that guy's snapping in there pretty well. I like the fact that you can pop this silicone up high, or just keep it down low. If you're just collecting magnetic things and you don't really need the size of the walls, you can just leave it down, takes up less space. If you're putting things in, maybe they're not magnetic, maybe they're plastic, you don't want them rolling off, put them in here. It's not going to roll away with those giant walls sticking up. And they all kind of stack within each other, so you can just store all of them as a single unit here. I was sent these to review for free. If you wanted to purchase them, they'd cost you about $27. And because they're magnetic, they kind of stick to each other. There's not quite enough force here to lift the bottom guy up, but the little guys definitely stick there. All right, so the little ones, they're great for putting screws on and that type of thing. Now, the large ones are interesting because, you can put a tool on that guy. Now, it won't hold all tools in a vertical orientation. It's a pretty strong magnet, but it requires you to have good contact between the magnet and whatever you put up there. So if you're putting up screws and bolts, it works pretty well. As you get bigger, you might get things like this where that head keeps the thing from making contact. And you can see it holds it on, but most of the weight is being supported by the bottom edge here. Things like sockets work. If you put them this way, it sticks a little harder than if you put them that way. And if you have something larger, like this guy, it'll kind of hold it on, but again, like the big bolt, the weight's on the bottom here. So some things, like pliers, work because they have a large flat area that rests against the magnet. Some other pliers don't have as good of an area, or the metallic material isn't quite as ferrous, and so it doesn't work for them. Something really heavy like this, which only has a couple of contact points, it won't hold it up. You might be able to prop it, but it's in the vertical orientation. It'll hold some things, but it won't hold everything. Now, you're typically going to be using this horizontally, and so if you throw something in there horizontally, it's not going to slide around and move. If you turn it upside down, it may fall out, however. So the small guys are appropriate for keeping track of some screws, maybe a couple of sockets, that type of thing. The magnet is pretty good. So you can see here, I can turn these upside down and they don't fall out. So this is size-wise and kind of utility kind of comparable to one of these guys, which is what I'd used before. It's magnetically attaches, it hooks to something metal, it holds things. So this guy has the fold up, so it can be a little bit deeper, and it can stow away when you're not using it. So, it goes down and it, stacks in with the rest of them. So from a cost perspective, this entire set here is about $26, $27. This guy here is probably going to be $4 to $5, depending on where you get it. You might get a discount if you buy it with something or a coupon. So, these guys, kind of comparable there. I like this one here. It's a little bigger, gives you a little more space. And this guy's interesting. That's kind of the tool tray where you can put like actual decent sized tools in there and carry tools around. Or I guess if you had like big car parts, you could stick them in there. But at this size, you're kind of getting to the point where you're not going to lose it. It's not going to roll away and disappear on you. But I think this is more for organizing, like you want to carry 4 or 5 little small hand tools out to an area. And so that's an interesting size that I haven't really seen a lot before. I like the fold out, fold down. You want a tray, you want kind of a little thing that'll hold stuff. I haven't tested putting liquid in this. I don't think I would use it for liquid storage or anything. I think it's really more for holding tools and parts and things like that. But seems like a pretty reasonable value for what you get with the the whole set here with all 4 of these.